So, we just had a decent old time to get to know a bit more of Coollerz and k1llsen, as they are going to be going head-to-head up next for one of our final series of Stage 2's weekly broadcasts. Welcome back to the Quake Pro League. I think the less we say before we get into the match, the better. We want to just have a quick chit-chat. We want to see the two gods in action. They've gone back and forth so many times. They clashed heads many times during Stage 1. And they had the big prize match, the essentially grand finals of QuakeCon last year, where k1llsen was able to take it convincingly over Coollerz. And since then, their results back and forth haven't been as one-sided as of very recently, with Coollerz being the current champion of the Quake Pro League with the Stage 1. So this is the two champions going head-to-head, and they just have so many amazing moments together. You can never get tired of watching them play, I think.
No, I think Coollerz, in terms of overall pedigree, boasts a slightly better history than k1llsen, but in the last 3, 4, 5 years, k1llsen's just begun to grow and grow and grow as a dueler, which is really interesting considering how long he had been in the scene. He had results before, but it took really until like 2015, roughly 2014, to have his first major victory. And ever since then, it seems like something clicked inside him, and he just began to really flourish as a player.
And in Quake Champions, he's thrived.
Exactly.
Like, he really has.
Yeah, he's just embraced it, and I think he's one of these people that puts in the hard yards, particularly early on, and then he thinks about the game. And although he's obviously got unbelievable mechanics, he does think about it very, in a similar way to Razy, very carefully, and he comes up with some creative strategy.
And it's rare that you'll catch k1llsen on an off game. That's one of the biggest strengths that he brings is when k1llsen plays, it is similar to a Razy, where it's just incredibly good aim, amazing decision-making. You'll rarely catch k1llsen making a mistake, something that's super critical. It's just efficiency almost all the time.
I think that's one of the features of his game that's changed so much in Quake Champions, is that there were times in Quake Live where, particularly online, he was just destroying. But then it would come to a LAN situation, and he would have 1 or 2 games, particularly when they counted, where he just wouldn't turn up. I distinctly remember games, particularly there was one against Avec where he lost something like 30 to 40-0. And he just couldn't hit any rails, and he just crumbled. Might have been under pressure, might have been whatever it is, but that just doesn't seem to happen anymore. So once again, it's just another step in his development, and that consistency is always going to make you be one of the best Atmosphere players.
And in a very similar light, we of course have Coollerz, who is one of the most famous and most beloved, by the community Quake players that has ever existed. Finally got his big win. It was a long time coming in Stage 1, and Coollerz finally got a major victory, which was just so good for the game, I found. Just such an old school legend who...
Well, this is it, right? Is that Coollerz is somebody who, his name transcends Quake, and that is so rare in any game. That someone is so well known, and rightly so. He's been around since, I think he won his first Quake tournament when he was 14 or 15, and he's early 30s now. So 15 plus years to play on that level consistently, and to be one of the key innovators for all of Quake history is just incredible.
And I think we're in for a real treat watching the two gods go head-to-head in Quake Champions. I mean, if anything, it's really just a story setter for as we go into Stage 2 finals in Poland, because, they're going to be there, and they're both expected to do very well. The two of them collectively are favourites to win the whole thing. We have the picks and bans ready, so we can see what's going in. First map's going to be Blood Covenant, Corrupted Keep next, and then Awoken finally. k1llsen versus Doomslayer, Corrupted Keep. We can see the Visor and the Ranger, and then k1llsen versus Strog. So, more of these matchups. Again, it's some pretty standard picks. You don't really see... Is it excited to see k1llsen play Strog? Because he was often a pretty big slash player for quite a while. And just curious to see how he handles the Strog instead.
Yeah, I think Strog is slightly more powerful on Awoken, just because of the corridors and the way you can use Pika. But yeah, as you said rightly, very standard picks. I've seen k1llsen being picked by Coollerz a little bit on Blood Covenant before. I still think it's a rather unusual pick on that map, so always interested to see how he uses those totems to most effectiveness. As is Visor on Corrupted Keep. Again, I would traditionally say reverse those picks across those two maps, personally, at least for my comfort zone. And yeah, k1llsen, Some quite unusual picks, I think, actually, from Cooler thinking about it today.
Well, we'll see if it works out, because fundamentally there are so many potential things that could go on there. I know a common thing that we've talked about with the players that are comfortable is we're about to go into Stage 2 finals, and if there's something that maybe has been working in scrims, let's see if it works in a competitive setting, there's always the possibility that something is just being tested out, see if it works out.
For sure.
But I know that especially between these two players, this is absolutely a game of pride too. Like, they're both way up in the leaderboards. Yeah. They are some of the best players on the planet for Quake Champions, right? Like, that's not disputed. But neither player wants to lose to the other at all. This is not a, by that degree, this is not a friendly match. No. These are two of the absolute best that want to have that latest one-up as we go into the LAN.
So what's your prediction?
I feel like it's always... k1llsen has just been looking so good against Cooler in the past that I think it's kind of hard to bet against k1llsen. I'm going to go with k1llsen, but I think 2-1 for sure. I don't think a 3-0.
No, I completely agree with that prediction. And I think particularly online, I generally see the better of k1llsen online. But that's actually been changing in recent years as well. So, but 2-1 k1llsen is up. I agree.
Now, Cooler gets the kind of immediate push for control. You kind of combine that with the totems that are no doubt going to be coming up soon. Nice rockets, actually, from k1llsen almost immediately. I know it was just one individual hit. It's just this idea that Cooler was so kind of out of his line of sight, and that still managed to do 60% damage on a reaction to a sound cue. It's pretty impressive stuff there from k1llsen, and it's regular. It's what to expect. Unfortunate rail miss there, though, where it could have been some free damage. He needs rails to connect at this point with Cooller's stack as severe as it is.
Nice little angle, actually. I never even no one really uses that.
In between the cracks.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, k1llsen, he's just trying to get the real estate to move on and try and make his next play here. Likely to be the heavy, but it's actually Cooler wanting to push forward first. k1llsen realistically can't fight for the heavy. He's just not really in position to make anything work. It'd have been purely having to go vertical up top, which is not an easy angle to hit.
I think Cooller's already got 3 totems up, so quite well done. Oh no! He jumped into all of them!
k1llsen's rail has actually not been really hitting its mark so far, and after a totem like that, that was a pretty standard rail that k1llsen would normally hit, combined with the totem. That's the kind of kill that k1llsen would probably feel a certain way about.
Yes.
But now with it being 2-0 in quite unusual fashion, I think you could definitely say here. But hey, the k1llsen has been really proving its worth so far. Cooler happy to restack back up. The rockets are so good, and it's just shy of a trade. That best case scenario would have been a trade out there for Cooler, but k1llsen's going to finally get one of those frags, and there's plenty of this map left to go.
Absolutely. Good play by k1llsen, a little bit risky, but coming out better with the rockets.
A little bit of spam, but it's barely going to hit its mark standalone. The machine gun definitely hurts, though. k1llsen needs to start hitting these rails. Gets another one. And now he's chasing them down. We'll jump just beforehand, though. A little bit dangerous here. Ah, perfect rocket again. Cooler really trying to wait for his moment, and just the rockets just perfectly placed there from k1llsen, making it 2-2. Nice and even so far, but that jump pad, that one hurts. Free rail coming out now from k1llsen. And with this heavy being the next objective spawning here, is it free to go in? That is information, but Cooler was fair to assume k1llsen would be there anyway. And there he is, clearing out the totems. You love to see just the extra split second taken to remove them from play. So many players often leave them be, and it's the knock-on effects for them can be pretty severe.
Yeah, you should never do that. And ultimately, it's just laziness.
Yeah. Don't want to lose your movement momentum, man. It's fun to move fast. Ooh. Cooler not giving up an angle just yet. Now, we actually saw the attempt at the double back. The jump pad was used into the immediate double jump. We just touched on that in the previous series. Doomslayer really does get access to some pretty unique tricks that you can pull off.
Pretty much back to square one as they begin to test each other. No one willing to overcommit. Both learning their lessons from earlier frags.
Ooh, almost got the rail, but Cooler hugging the right-hand side just in case there happened to be a k1llsen with the rail in sight, which he was bang on the money. But now k1llsen's got a good stack. A little bit of room to retreat to, in the perfect position to take this heavy once again. But it's been very slow-paced, and that's not necessarily surprising when you put these two players head-to-head.
For sure.
They're both very, very careful players.
They are. They both have spouts of aggression, but being the elite caliber they are, they do adapt to their opponents. Coollerz more so than k1llsen, if I'm honest, but that is a very risky move. He knows k1llsen's pushing in and just got bounced around by the rockets of k1llsen that were absolutely perfect.
You can tell Coollerz was just confident in his own stack. The fact that he immediately initiated that with a drop into Totem just to get that extra burst of health, but it wasn't really enough to write home about. And Coollerz wasn't able to get the consolation prize, just the the denial of the heavy at the very least. He was inches away from taking it. Instead, it's going to be just a reward.
That's exactly it. Coollerz is one of these players who values denial and obtaining major items above anything else. When he's in control, he suffocates you with that, but when he's not in control, he will throw away lives to deny it because he knows then you are weak off the spawn. It's a definite strategy that he's perfected.
It's really a kind of old school strategy, right?
It is very much an old school strategy. Back for the days of 15-minute time limit duel.
Yeah, there was the different timers between the items, if I recall.
And yeah, so it's still a viable strategy. Slightly more risky, but
ooh, rockets!
Bounce.
Yeah, fantastic from k1llsen here, who's been able to cement himself quite a substantial lead. This has been a pretty slow-paced Blood Covenant, and with it now being 5-2, more than enough for k1llsen to work with at this stage. Opening shot, comboed it in nicely.
It's much better in the last 3 or 4 minutes than it was for the first 2.
k1llsen trying to get the next layer, baiting him towards. Oh, LG, the trap. See you later, Coollerz.
And again,
perfect.
k1llsen just patrolling that mid ground. Coollerz struggling at the minute to get himself on the map.
Another rail's coming out. Those double jumps making those kind of spam rockets nowhere near as dangerous. An extra angle with a rocket jump. Coollerz trying super hard to get in and out. The Totems are only going to do so much with those rails, and from this stage, I mean, truly, how can he escape? He's so weak here for Coollerz.
But if you look at the way k1llsen's playing, I don't think he's actually obtained the heavy armor for a good few minutes. He's just allowing Coollerz onto it and just railing away and dealing damage. He understands what Coollerz trying to do and is playing around it really exceptionally well.
And as long as k1llsen controls the high ground here, there's not much k1llsen can do either to steal it back standalone. It's going to come down to Coollerz having to magically get an amazing fight and then re-establish control up top. But as long as k1llsen, he doesn't even want to get a frag at this point. He is more than happy keeping Coollerz this week because he's stuck down there having to use small items to heal back up. As long as he's not up top, k1llsen has nothing to worry about. And it's just wasting time at this point.
And this was one of my fears with k1llsen, is that she feels a little bit redundant now, that she's not able to get her totems up and she doesn't offer anything else. And when k1llsen's got such a strong map advantage, the totems are doing nothing because k1llsen's never running into them. Coollerz can't get onto the high ground to impose himself. He's living in those underground tunnels. k1llsen's only dropping down there to cut him off like this.
Another easy frag here from k1llsen. Another day in the office, and he's just so dangerous on Blood Covenant.
Yeah.
We see great success from him against the world's greatest time and time again when he clashes heads on this map.
And you can see him just ramp up the frags now. He's not threatened at all. And
Nice delay,
there's nothing Coollerz can do. There's literally nothing Coollerz can do.
By all accounts, this should be a wrap.
Oh, this is, there's no way back now.
It's just taking far too long now for Coollerz to re-establish, and more of a victory lap for k1llsen at this point. It's been a convincing map number one. For the first third of this map or so, it was kind of hard to call, and then oh my god, rapid.
He just makes it look so easy. It's incredible.
You almost forget that he's fighting Coollerz.
Yeah, this is
what
the
he's
thing,
doing.
right?
This is Coollerz he's against right now. You can never believe it. And just going in, knows his stack. Who cares? He's just fresh off the spawn. He's probably only got a rail. Why do I have to care about that? I always say obnoxiously efficient.
Obnoxiously efficient.
He's one of the players you can sum up with that, where it's just everything he does is just so surgical. You get it every step of the way, and it's insane how easy he makes it look.
Absolutely.
Looking for more rails. Yeah, fine, easy. Let's just hit some rails and then just get a trail of godlike LG. Why not?
And I don't think he's been below 100 health in 6 minutes. It's incredible.
More rails, just sets up the line perfectly. Berserk, to pay its dues, did actually give him that instant burst of speed. Not necessarily burst of speed, I know it just puts him at his max speed straight away, but it gave him a unique angle that k1llsen just moved right into. Another easy frag for k1llsen. Cooler. I feel like he's only kind of been half here for this map. I mean, he's known, you know, 2 minutes ago that this map was over, I think, but this is just k1llsen doing his thing. And a very dominant map number 1. Just everything was done right. There's nothing else you can say about it.
No, it's, as you rightly said, it's a victory lap now. He's just showing off.
Give us one more swap.
Okay.
Oh my god. He's toying with him. He is playing with his food, ZSX. And he wins. Very convincing and dominant map 1.
Yeah, to say the least.
Damn good.
61% rail against Cooler.
Damage difference.
Oh
my.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I meant. Like, Cooler could not impose himself on that map. He only had 11 rails, and that's for someone on the defense. k1llsen, as soon as he had control, he didn't leave that banana area, that top area, and with the Doomslayer, he could just jump from side to side. Didn't even really care about, to be honest, didn't care about either major item, but specifically didn't care about the heavy armor, because he just got onto bridge and just capitalized upon the fact that k1llsen is quite literally a sitting duck. Slow, not a huge stack, offers no ability to threaten you. So what does k1llsen offer in these circumstances where you're not in the lead? k1llsen is great in combat if you could drop a totem and jump on it, but k1llsen didn't want to play like that. k1llsen was just going to chip away at you.
You always feel like that's why k1llsen's main objective was to, at all costs, dominate the high ground, because if you dominate the high ground, how is k1llsen even going to be in a position to make the totems dangerous?
Exactly.
And the totem was, ironically, the totem was one of the only 2 frags that existed against him. That first totem that he ran into, which I would kind of assume was a bit of a wake-up call, because k1llsen looked a little bit, I don't want to use the word rusty, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, where he didn't quite look all there in the first couple of minutes. Running into that totem was one of them, after missing a couple of pretty basic rails on his side too. And then the second frag just being a very clean, you know, SSG pickup there from Cooler. From that point on, the second k1llsen just established himself on that high ground, Cooler just couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much that for the other 7 minutes that the map took place.
Yeah. But Cooler does love to impose himself on the items, so sometimes if that strategy doesn't work, the scoreline can look worse than the reality shows. And k1llsen was way too stacked for a lot of these fights. And there was a few situations where Cooler was potentially unfortunate not to come away with a frag and unfortunate not to get the item before he died, which meant the snowball effect continued. But ultimately, k1llsen just showed us why he's respected probably as the #1 player in the world on his day.
Yeah, it's why I think he's held in such high esteem for being one of the absolute best, if not the best out there, because almost every map that you see k1llsen play on, it's just that is what you see. And when k1llsen, it doesn't quite work out for him, the opponent is able to kind of just somehow get that next level 1-up, where if someone beats k1llsen, it's one of the greatest maps you can see, a real demonstration of skill all round, because you can't catch k1llsen on a bad day. You have to play better than he does on a good day, which is easier said than done. No wonder Cooler has been able to do that in the past, though, because it's Cooler, for crying out loud. But going into Corrupted Keep now, slightly different matchup. k1llsen, though, going to have the edge with damage and mobility, thanks to that Dire Orb. And I do worry for Cooler a bit here. I just think with the way k1llsen's been playing, I think, the Orb and the aggression, I can just feel that might become somewhat of a problem in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Visor on this map at all. I don't think the value is there, but we'll see what it happens. It's not a good start for Cooler though. Really not a good start. That was a little bit of a mistake.
Yeah, I would assume that wasn't intentional.
I think he went to rocket jump and just got his mind just melted for a second.
Just fat fingered it.
Yeah.
Well, the question is actually, that might be quite punishing, because Dire Orb could have been quite useful.
Would have been very useful
in those situations. But a minor mistake. Unfortunately, we were just observing when it happened, so everyone saw it. Sorry, dude. But now with it being a 1-to-1, somewhat of a reset to the momentum, and Coollerz sitting on a great stack. Good rockets there for k1llsen. He is sitting on a lot more armor, and The LG did melt a little bit of health, but not enough to matter as the heavy armor just swiftly picked up. Good delay in between the two items again, though. k1llsen with plenty of bubbles to retreat to, actually. Happy with the stack to maybe spring a trap there. He wasn't super interested in just running off and collecting those health bubbles first. He tried to make his position not so well known as he got that rocket out, but didn't quite hit its mark. Ooh. Oh my god! This is a very sweaty fight. The second we saw an SSG from that range, k1llsen's whole play, similar to a close-range rail, I think, just being as crazy obnoxious at point blank as possible. And it did work out. The fact that k1llsen was point blank against an SSG, and he did not die in that exchange, was very impressive. You are so used to seeing that be the be-all end-all. Speaking of SSG, there it is, out of nowhere.
Yeah, that gun creates chaos. But we saw, once again, that's the example of how Cooler wants to play. No matter what the situation, if there's a major item to be had, he will run at it. And that time it worked out.
Nice little rocket jump. Get that boost of speed. Trying to set up for a little bit of damage here. k1llsen trying to bully his way onto that Mega, but he's got to be really careful. With every missed rocket, that one doing 100% is good though. Can he get a frag before Mega? He's trying to push him away as much as possible. Jumps down, Cooler. Probably put a lot of thought into trying to get LG and kill him before he had the Mega. But k1llsen slightly delaying his angle, just jumping down. Gonna be good stuff. Should, by all accounts, be another frag. Quick LG just to melt the health down in a short spurt. 2 to 6. This is corrupted keep, and you can never count out anybody until that last moment. But
he's not doing enough damage for me, and he needs to try and stem the tide, because once again it's a kill just before the major item, and Coollerz late, so he is going to potentially die.
Oh, no. Scrambly fight thanks to the repositioning of the Dire Orb. It looks like it somewhat caught Cooler a bit off.
Oh my gosh, k1llsen, what are you doing? But that time Cooler did do enough damage, so that time he can now get on a major item.
So it's not going to be the end of the world for him. The danger is that no matter what stack Cooler has been looking at, k1llsen has just been deleting it, and he's doing the exact same thing now. However, he was out of rockets, which I do think was a saving grace there for keeping Cooler alive. He just needed at least one more rocket to spray down, and it would have been sufficient damage. k1llsen, full speed ahead, a little bit too fast in that exchange there.
That opening rocket won him that fight. Did about 70 damage, which was a huge amount. So we haven't seen any real use of the piercing sight as he pops it. I was going to say now is a good time, but once again it serves no real purpose on this map. But nevertheless, he is clawing it back frag at a time.
And he's keeping timing immaculate.
And this is what Cooler does now. He just, once he gets control cleanly, he can suffocate you like no other player. I mean, I've experienced it. There is seriously no other player that controls the map like Cooler does.
And when he's just about to get the heavy, he knows he's close range, so if he wanted to delay, he can. Looks like a slight delay is something he's interested in. Just pepper out some damage and now just retreat back. Should be enough time for him to fight towards this Mega if he plays his cards right. Does he use his piercing sight? Yes, he does. He wants that information. And information granted. It should be a free take here. k1llsen has to concede.
k1llsen's doing a good job of stalling Cooler, but he's not doing any damage. So he's patrolling that mid-level there, which is great. But Cooler understanding that is now not overcommitting. He's done what he needs to do to get control. He's already clawed back the scoreline to a reasonable level. And as I say that, k1llsen manages to flick him up.
This is kind of what I was concerned about at the very beginning, though, is that Cooler, he's still playing it with that Cooler brain that we know, but the danger is that this is just a matter of k1llsen has the extra, that trump card, that burst of damage, and that rocket.
Yeah.
Delicious. But it is that Dire Orb, that last little spurt of damage in a fight that looks like it's going in Cooler's favor. Guess what? Orb dead outright. k1llsen keeps the lead. Now he's just trying to lay this pressure on, and wasn't quite able to win that fight towards Heavy. Looked like there was a half of attempt for denial there, perhaps, but it's only 3 frag difference here, and with just over 4 minutes on the clock, this is totally possible for Cooler. Absolutely cannot count him out just yet.
No, for sure.
Nice rocket! Now from this stage, Cooler's being really careful not to concede any of those long range. The LG is going in. k1llsen actually not interested in range at all. Man just wants to go in with the Dire Orb and the rockets. I mean, it has been a match made in heaven for him so far.
Yeah, I think k1llsen, he tried playing passive whilst Cooler was getting control. Didn't work. really good to see k1llsen mixing the playstyle up now, as soon as reflecting on the fact that it wasn't working.
Did hear a piercing sight though, so k1llsen knows that's going to be down for about 40 seconds or so, depending on whether he gets some hourglasses or not. Uses the jump pad, and I love the angle that Coollerz chose to make there. Even though he might go down in this fight, the fact that he just hugged that wall so closely.
Nice, really
and
nice.
Again, really good stuff there from k1llsen. His rockets have been through the roof, all map long.
Ultimately lucky not to die, but did catch Coollerz off guard.
Or LG looking like he should win this one as well. Coollerz sticking around. He was confident in his ability, but losing that 1v1 as well. The light armor gets taken. 3 minutes on the clock. We said it's hard to count him out, but fortunately, Santa timer running out for him as another 100. That opening rocket, it just means so much. It means Coollerz can't really realistically sit and fight. So many light pickups that you can take to get back. And he's falling into the trap. Coollerz just wants to deny.
He did pick it up.
There's a small victory. He's got the armor denied now. k1llsen has no armor, so a refrag here is super possible if he can just get the plasma, and he was correct.
But that is the template for the way Coollerz wants to play. He does deny, he deals damage, and then he pushes in for the kill and picks up the major item, and thus he now has control. But what k1llsen does is he knows he has the weaponry advantage with the rocket being caught off guard, pushed in and dies, dealing virtually no damage. This is big trouble for k1llsen. There's only 4 frags in it. Yes, there's only 2 minutes, but it's also a very quick map.
4 frags in it on a larger map, we would be sitting here, scratching our chins a little bit, but on Corrupted Keep, it's a no-brainer. You can totally make the comeback here.
Yeah.
It is amazing how much sequence has been started by Coollerz taking a death to deny that heavy to keep k1llsen behind for a refrag. Like that was the start of everything, and he didn't trade. k1llsen, he was surely looking for a trade.
No, he stole the Mega, and he did it Coollerz. He stole the Mega and did incredible damage. I don't think Coollerz can push in for this heavy now without taking a lot of damage.
The problem is that Coollerz is a lot more healthy than k1llsen was when this fight broke out, but he's just not been able to dish out as much of the damage.
There we go.
He was a lot healthier in that situation, so you'd almost think that Coollerz had a better chance, but k1llsen just did way more damage in that fight.
I mean, Coollerz had no positioning or no right to challenge, but he needed to deal damage because he couldn't let k1llsen get away with free item with only a minute and a half remaining. k1llsen just did way more damage, as you said.
k1llsen will remember that. That's exactly what happened. And then instantly, before you can even really think about what just happened, k1llsen's able to just flip it on its head almost the exact same way. Now, 1 minute on the clock. This is where k1llsen's going to start to absolutely shift the balance of how that match is played. He's been on Coollerz's tail for the entire 9-minute period. But now he has stack. Oh, the rocket! He goes in for the die roll. Can he pick this one up? Reward perfectly timed, actually, on that Mega to pick this back up. And now he's not necessarily like at death's door. It's going to be very hard for Coollerz to simply just pile in and refrag this. Another rocket. Looking for, and it forced Coollerz really to slow down and stop in his tracks. 30 seconds left. I mean, this has to be a done deal.
Yeah, for sure. There's no way back now, unfortunately.
k1llsen's recovery was fantastic stuff. Yeah, you have inches here. Maybe Coollerz was making a crazy good comeback that mounted off that one play of denying the heavy. k1llsen stops the bleeding in a couple of minutes' time, and
Absolutely.
that's it.
And k1llsen fought fire with fire every step of the way. It would have been easy for him to go right on the defensive, but if he did that, Coollerz would have walked all over him. So that's a mixture of one hand k1llsen's experience shining through, on the other hand just appreciating the way in which Coollerz plays and knowing how to adapt.
It was overall just a really good map. 13 to 16 as well. That was immensely back and forth, as you kind of grow to expect on Corrupted Keep.
Every stat is nearly equal. k1llsen only slightly more damage, k1llsen slightly more control, but very barely. It was perfectly balanced.
Well, I mean, k1llsen has just been playing incredibly well. And that's just all there is to it, really. That he's been just consistent, as we always kind of grow to expect. He's been playing immaculately well today. No shame, though, for Coollerz going down like that, but we still have got one more map to get through all the same, but k1llsen's just been true to form, and I think that's the recurring comment that you have to talk about when you watch k1llsen play against anyone. He's just so efficient, and he's absolutely going into Poland as one of the favourites to win. And today has just been another reminder of why he is of that level.
And I think it's difficult to appreciate how well k1llsen plays sometimes. And it was the subtle adaptations in his style and the way in which a lot of players, as I said, would have gone potentially defensive to protect their lead, and he does the opposite. He goes aggressive because he knows he can't allow Coollerz to get onto the map. So it's the little things that are very difficult to appreciate that are the key elements to what makes a player like k1llsen so elite.
Just a bit of a sort of victory lap style replays here, which most of these will just be kind of just k1llsen. Cooler had some great moments. I mean, it was the rockets though.
Yeah, the rockets were key.
The rockets and the dire orbs. Some of the dire orb plays, just even like right here, just turning it around. Dire orb, it's not just the damage, it's the crazy repositioning that you can just be rewarded with here. But k1llsen, you talk about his accuracy. The railgun obviously is his most powerful weapon, but it's one of many weapons that he is absolute world class with. So on a map like this, which is so combat heavy, you can expect him to hit just as many like miracle rockets as everyone else. This final play was just incredibly good stuff. It wasn't just the repositioning there. He had the Mega on time. He deliberately went to that dire orb to land on the Mega at the same time. Just, how do you fight for that? When Coollerz as weak as he is and the dire orb's coming, you have to respect it. Like, it's a great pick.
And yet Coollerz took it to the wire. So once again, he lost, but showing his pedigree too.
Well, we have one more map to get through, and I think at this stage, it's more of just a treat for all of us, really. We just get to watch another map. And
exactly.
We'll take that all day, every day. But it has kind of reminded us all why k1llsen's an absolute favourite to win Stage 2. Yes. And I know he was deeply unsatisfied with Stage 1. He wanted to take them back to back. He knew he could. He was devastated. He was devastated when he went down in Italy. And it's k1llsen, though. When he goes down, he's mulls over it for a while, and then it's shake it off. Okay, I'll be back next time.
Yeah, fights back stronger.
His form in Stage 2 on the weeklies has been top form, and I mean, if he wins Poland, if he wins IEM, I can't say anyone's going to be surprised. He's one of the absolute picks for a lot of people.
It's very true.
But I mean, what do you think about Coollerz though? Because Coollerz versus k1llsen is always a bit of an up and down thing. It seems like k1llsen has the edge online at the very least.
Definitely has the edge online. I think Coollerz hasn't looked entirely on his game. He's not looked bad. I think I've definitely seen cleaner versions of Coollerz. It's the stereotypical Coollerz that we see, but it's just the execution that's lacking a little bit today. But Coollerz always shows another level on LAN, whereas I think k1llsen's a bit more of a steady level. He's just exceptional throughout, whereas players like Coollerz just take it up a notch.
I'm just overall really excited for the LAN. It's this idea that there's just so many stories that go on, but it's Quake Pro League. It's the individual. It's the fact that every week, with the exception of the buys, of course, we get a perfect opportunity to just put every single player kind of under the microscope, and we can just see what their individual journey is. And I guess that's the nature of the fact that the Quake Pro League is the 1v1 too. Like, it is always about the individual player versus the individual player. So you just get to focus on so much of that. But with it being on a weekly basis, you get to see these individual players really celebrated and their own progress climbs, and each player in turn has their own story going into the final.
And that's why Quake is so different to virtually any other esport out there outside of things like StarCraft, because there's very few games where it is just all on an individual, and it's a whole host of different pressures and stresses that you can't appreciate in a team environment. And it's just entirely unique. That's why it's so fascinating to watch.
Oh, for sure. Because there's so many senses too. Unique senses in the 1v1 setting anyway.
Yeah.
Like, FPS is massively popular. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys that for sure. It's esports, right? The esports is, these days, FPS is a huge part of modern esports.
But the thing about Quake in particular as well is the level of strategy and thought that goes into the amount of skill required, not only just to play the mechanical levels, but as we said, in terms of timing and strategy and positioning, everything it's a constant, always on pressure.
Yeah, and that constant, I think, weekly access to it with the players now grinding, I think, harder than they ever have for these kind of things is allows players to kind of take those skills that already exist, and then you just stick a big fat exclamation point on the end of it. But we're going into our final map here between Coollerz and k1llsen. k1llsen obviously going to inch this one out today, but the final map, it's about the bragging rights. Hey, welcome back. Hi, guys.
Hello.
My name's Ketchup.
I'm Z6.
This is Z6. So the k1llsen versus the Strog and Pika. Excited to kind of see k1llsen Strog. I know he's often really favoured Slash as a crouch slider.
It's lucky we don't take off our shirts as soon as we go into game or anything like that.
I sometimes
just get naked.
I sometimes stand up when I commentate just to give my legs a break.
Yeah, I've casted people that have like just shorts on under here. So.
Oh man, that's always the mix-up on the desk. You never know. You never know. You only see my top half. But anyway.
Oh, that's a good idea.
This is an immediate breakout here. Wow, k1llsen did push a little bit too heavily there for Cooler. k1llsen was ultimately going to drop that first frag, but there's plenty of time to recover here. Going in with the rail, unfortunately missing the shot, which should be a pretty good pickup.
Look at that turret!
Oh my god! That is some of the highest turret damage I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've never seen a turret do that much damage.
Wow. And yeah, you can tell that probably took k1llsen by surprise as well, as he potentially did not expect it to be around that corner. Hence so much damage came through.
Oh, what a rocket.
Wonderful.
k1llsen's retaliation was perfect.
Gets a good spawn. Nice rail too. Good timing there for the Mega at the same time. You know, hit that rail first, double back, and then just create that divide even larger between the stack. Getting a rail and then a Mega is just a nice little distance there. And just like that, k1llsen, full control of the two items, but with it being a 1-1 this early, it's always hard to say. Hamilton now put a lot of confidence in his rocket dodges here. Unfortunately, hitting the wall rather than his target, that's a little bit of bonus damage that shouldn't really have been dealt. Coollerz not going to complain, though, because he's in perfect position for the Mega. k1llsen going full speed ahead, and it actually worked, but they trade.
Look at the turret.
MVP.
Yeah, I mean, Cooller's turrets so far have been incredible. We haven't seen a Pika come out yet, so nice to see what k1llsen does with that.
I am very curious, actually, to see how k1llsen handles the Pika. 3-2 already, though. Having to really just try and take out that turret. But what does the turret do on top of it being just extra damage? It is that eternal distraction, isn't it?
Could have used the Pika then, I thought, but decides to hold on to it. Okay.
Nice.
Boom.
Alright, k1llsen's going to be more than confident to go up that jump pad. Wow, good reactionary flick on that rail. I was going to say he was confident to go up on the jump pad purely on a basis of the stack being that different. You know, normally they say never go up a jump pad, but if you just need a little bit of LG, and you know that, and the Mega's there, then definitely a risk that's worth taking. And it looks like here, this movement tries to set up a unique rail angle. He was just shy of it, just shy of the rail shot. Doesn't quite get the rail either. That's going to allow Cooler a free pickup of the Mega. And now you can see k1llsen, he's just trying to fish for another angle. And now the Pika gets used. The Pika is going to be information though. Unfortunately, k1llsen did leave himself a little bit vulnerable. The price he pays for information, unfortunately, is he went in for the Pika. He knew the heavy was taken, but he was really a sitting duck there. Oh, good rail.
Yeah, very back and forth at the moment. Not really favouring any one player.
That's Cooler. Rocket jump to reposition as the heavy's the next objective here. Looks like k1llsen can't really take much for it. Does manage to get a good rail though. But Cooler's not going to make the next angle particularly easy for him, I imagine. And now, 10 seconds. Once again, does he go? Yeah, Cooler waits for his chance. I love that choice, actually, throwing the turret down, and he's keeping an eye out for when the rocket attention diverts to the turret. The second he sees the rocket go towards the turret, that's when he chooses to go in and look for an angle of his own.
Yeah, it's really smart.
Ooh.
Oopsie. k1llsen learnt his lesson, playing slightly more defensive now.
Cooler is maintaining a pretty large stack because of it. Looking kind of unfazed in the middle of the map so far.
Indeed, but these rails are beginning to add up a little bit, meaning Cooler cannot get a big enough stack. That's really strong. Means he will be able to push him for a kill.
Yeah, and Cooler wasn't satisfied in being too predictable and just simply setting up shop near the Mega. He knew k1llsen was extremely likely to set up there with the rail. The play of pushing in just a little bit further and dropping a turret to initiate earlier than k1llsen would expect really did pay its dues. It did massive damage, and this should by all means be another frag. No extra rocket damage. I think k1llsen was at least hoping for some bonus rocket damage there.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't take enough damage. First use of the Pika, really. Not a very effective one either. Does pick up the Mega though. That's what he wanted. Cooler now is weak. So k1llsen has managed to even the stacks a little bit, but needs to pick up the weaponry to contest.
Turret is ready again. In this instance, it's just in case he's going around near Railway. I wonder if that's going to sit there for a little bit. Nice rail, actually. k1llsen holding that angle. He's definitely not out of this. You know, 6-3 with only 5.5 minutes taken down. There's plenty of time to make this work. It's just Cooler. He has been the one in control for pretty much the entirety of this map. Missed rail, unfortunately, is going to make sure Cooler is able to re-establish towards Heavy again. Likely to see a fight near Heavy if k1llsen chooses to pressure it. Looks like he's thinking about it. So we can see him springing his attack. Lots of LG, in fact. Plenty of LG. And now he gets the Heavy. This could be his opportunity to really claw this one back.
Yeah, for sure. And it was a very clean kill as well. But Coollerz not going to give up this mega health without a fight.
Oh, really nice, actually, use of the turret. Throwing it so far away that when you're down there, you physically can't get a shot unless you tri-bolt.
Exactly.
That was certainly a deliberate turret. Now, trying to answer back. Caught swapping weapons, which is time, valuable time wasted. Back, gonna get the rail, looking for the angle.
Oh, that was close.
Yeah, for a split second, he had the shot.
He should be dead here. Pretty greedy going in there by k1llsen, but thought he could just get damage in before it spawned.
The initial fight with k1llsen kind of getting caught with his pants down, swapping a couple of weapons, that kind of wasted valuable microseconds where he could have been dishing out damage. And Cooler just really using that to his advantage later on. When they had a fight and k1llsen sticking to it, maybe a bit more stacked up than perhaps k1llsen had anticipated due to the damage that he had done beforehand.
Big fan of the way Cooler's been using these turrets. Look how much damage that turret just did. It nearly killed k1llsen.
And it's also fresh information off the spawn too. You know, if it's still dishing out the damage and you've spawned, like where exactly is he likely to be with? Is he going near a certain weapon or something? But k1llsen now has got the mega. But this is a Cooler in the lead. You know, we can see potentially the shift. I know the shift of defense. Yeah. Nice frag on Cooler. I was about to say the shift on defense can be quite a risky one if you choose to take it at this point, because again, it's down to just the small map syndrome. The snowball effect can really up and play. You know, one good spawn and you can get 2 frags, and oh my god, again. So much damage peppering out. Cooler's still on the back foot. That missed rail though could be huge.
He's got
and
the turret down.
Rail.
But that was again. He put the turret so far away that k1llsen had no choice but to back out because he couldn't take both without dying. And now he's in a right pickle.
You can say that again.
But how has he done that?
I was about to say, you can imagine k1llsen, those kind of missed rails into a frag, that's the kind of rail that k1llsen will kind of be a little bit frustrated about because he knows he can hit those shots. And he'll probably be more annoyed at himself that he didn't. That's very classic of k1llsen. But before I can even say that, no, the super shotgun to answer back. It's escaping him again.
What's going on in this game?
Final map syndrome, perhaps. Oh my god. Oh god. This is I take one, you take one.
I'm just going to stop casting. They can just play.
9-9 now, though.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, k1llsen here. Significantly weaker than Cooler, it has to be said. I'm going to see how he can recover from this one here. He's not really, you know, the Heavy's not going to spawn for quite a while, so it's more about k1llsen now just trying to re-establish. He can restack back up if he wants. And Cooler in a far superior location for that mega. And now k1llsen, I think, is just looking for a trap. Has potentially given himself away with that light armor. But at least he's got a stack to work with, a nice little entry rail to start working on it, whittle it down. But now we are approaching the 1 minute warning. Very likely that it's going to be a 1 frag game here with how things are going. It's very explosive back and forth that led us to this moment.
Yes. There was 3 or 4 frags in a row. I just had no idea. They just shouldn't have happened. Particularly that k1llsen one.
He's going to get some of those rails at least. Better to get a rail after the mega than before it. Now, both players kind of stacked. k1llsen with a fat amount of armor.
Yeah, Cooler's just going to be hiding now. Wants to take fights around these corners.
Perfect entry rocket. Just to take away all the armor, funnily enough.
But k1llsen can now restack and has plenty of time to get back over to the mega room.
And he delays when he takes the Heavy too.
But Cooller's set up in his little fortress turret as well.
These missed rails are really just a green light for Cooler. Just to get in. We have to take her out that turret though. We really have to get that out of the way. And, oh, the split second k1llsen decides to focus on the turret. Here comes Cooler from behind. It is that constant divide of attention. And we're going to see now down to 1 frag. Hang on a minute, Cooler is weak. Or k1llsen is weak, sorry, rather. And Cooler with a massive stack. This is quite worrisome for k1llsen. If he's able to evade and get back up to a regular old stack and hit some entry rails, maybe a couple of surprise rockets, there's a chance here to come back for sure. But Cooler has the advantage for the stack, absolutely. Oh, that Late nail. Information. It's not about damage there, it's about information. And these defensive rockets are looking so good, and the crouch slide means he can easily escape k1llsen. But the turret could catch him off guard. It has been all map long. The rocket doesn't hit its mark. k1llsen, I think, holding an angle for a bit longer, just in case Cooler doesn't realize he's there. Oh, but he knows he's there for the rail, though.
That doesn't really matter as he backs off straight onto that Mega. That matters, however. Cooler now knows he can win this.
k1llsen's also out of rockets, which is quite unfortunate for him. He has to go for the tri-bolt, and uh-oh, he might be stuck. Stuck in a bad place.
Yes.
So, final map's going to go to Cooler. So there is that at the very least. And that was a good map all round.
Yeah, strong map. I mean, they were all good maps all around. I think k1llsen destroyed the first game, absolutely destroyed the first game. Second game, very much back and forth, but k1llsen displayed great adaptation to Cooler's aggression. And the final game, yeah, I think Cooler played quite a lot better on the last map.
I think it's something we can always kind of grow to expect when these two players play, because I think they are of very much kind of like an even skill level with Quake Champions. You know, just past results kind of prove that, really, with how back and forth the two of them have been in a tournament setting. But the victory ultimately going to k1llsen means he's going to leave Week 10 just feeling confident. We say that all the time. I know that it's been a pretty common sentence today, but look, it's the last online weekly before we go to a LAN. If your last match you played against a really prominent player was a victory, you got to feel good about that. You know what I mean? Sure. It's like, it's more of anything, it's that self-validation. You know you still got it. Okay,
particularly against the player that beat you in the last tournament as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know.
Mini revenge. Yeah. I know it's online, but mini revenge.
Right? 100%, yeah.
Half revenge. But there's a really good chance they'll go head-to-head again in Stage 2. Because the likelihood of Cooler and k1llsen getting far in the bracket is almost guaranteed. Unless one of them has a colossally bad day, I see the both of them getting far.
Yes, I agree.
You know, if they go head-to-head on the LAN setting, then, I mean, it's just juicy, right? It's the continuation of what is very much a competitive rivalry between two champions.
Yep, I couldn't agree more.
That does leave us, though, with one more series to go. We can talk about that in droves, and we'll be going to a break very, very shortly. But ultimately, this final map, the k1llsen turret, it really did do a lot of damage.
Turret MVP.
There were a couple of moments there where k1llsen truly was just caught off guard, you know, and the first evolution there was the turret being thrown close range, kind of near that jump pad, where if you're down near teleporter, you've got an angle at the turret.
Yeah.
Very quickly, Cooler started, you know, clearly throwing the turret at a further distance, you know, further backwards. Yeah. k1llsen was at the bottom so many times, he just lost an angle, unless he goes to a tri-bolt. But you don't want to get caught with a tri-bolt down there. What if they rail you or something?
Yeah, the fascinating thing about both these players is just the split decision making between going aggressive, playing passive, stealing items. It's all too easy to do one or the other, and overcommitting or just going way too defensive. Where these caliber of players make those decisions to perfection every single time, and that's why it's always so close, and that's why neither one of them ever really gets a true strangle on a map. But there were obviously a few moments, particularly around now, I think it was, where the map went just full potato mode, and they just decided to run. They're like here. From here onwards, they just went, all right, let's just rush. Some random ass frags, but it was fun to watch.
I mean, it's a taste of things to come. Well, not necessarily this sequence, but I think the series itself is a taste of things to come. You know, there are two players. They're just crazy efficient. I think that's what, when you mentioned that it's you very rarely see that either one get like a true massive hold on the map.
Sure.
Is because they are so efficient at what they do. Our final series for Stage 2 weeklies, Rafa versus Dahang. The common talking point of Rafa, granted, there have been some players in the Americas that have been able to bring it to Rafa, but not defeat Rafa. Dahang is the last man standing to see if someone can get a victory, you know, an overall win. I think a lot of people out there constantly think if there's one player that can do it in Americas, Dahang can, because Dahang has actually done that in a competitive setting before for Quake Champions, so he has actually defeated Rafa in a tournament setting. And I mean, is Rafa going to remain America's undisputed going into Poland? I mean, he probably is anyway, but at least one victory for anyone else would be a good thing for that part of the world.
I mean, yeah, Dahang definitely can. As you rightly said, he's done it before. Dahang's done it on the biggest stage in season finals, so it's not unusual, but it's unexpected every single time.
It's been quite a day. It's been quite a day, jam-packed full of fantastic Quake action, and there's one more series left to go. The Liquid Showdown, Rafa versus Dahang. We're going to go for a quick break for a few minutes and set things up. We'll be back in a few minutes' time with more Quake Pro League.